The restaurant was buzzing with the usual Friday night crowd, but I barely noticed. My eyes kept drifting to her, Lisa, the woman I had been dating for almost 3 years. We'd agreed to have a quiet dinner, just the two of us. Simple, relaxing, nothing fancy. But from the moment we arrived, something felt off. She smiled at me when we were seated, just barely. Then, the moment the waiter turned his back, her attention drifted, and it wasn't subtle. Every laugh, every glance, every gesture was aimed somewhere else, somewhere I couldn't reach. I tried to ignore it, thinking maybe she was just tired, maybe the week had drained her. But as the evening unfolded, the pattern became impossible to miss. Her phone kept lighting up. Her eyes followed every waiter and hostess that approached. Not me. And then he arrived. Her boss. The man she had mentioned only a handful of times at work. Yet tonight, she was transformed. Every word she said was calculated. Every laugh timed to perfection. And I sat there, glass of water in hand, feeling more like a spectator than her boyfriend. I caught myself counting the minutes, waiting for the moment she'd notice me, acknowledge me, but it never came. Instead, the jokes became more flirtatious, the laughter louder, the compliments heavier. And when our eyes met, briefly, I could see it, the dismissive glance, the way I didn't matter in her little show. I tried to redirect the evening. I mentioned something about a project at work, hoping to spark a connection. She nodded once, smiled politely, and then her attention was back on him. I felt the warmth drain from my chest, replaced by a creeping, cold clarity. I realized something crucial right then. This wasn't about work. It wasn't about her boss. It was about control, validation, and what I had refused to see before. She didn't care about me tonight. Not really. The appetizer came and went. The main course arrived, steaming and fragrant, but I barely touched it. My mind was elsewhere. I watched as she leaned in, laughed at a joke, brushed a hand along his arm. I counted the minutes until the check would come, until I could quietly leave, until I could escape without confrontation, without tears, without a scene. I kept my voice steady when I asked for the check. "We'll split it," I said calmly, handing over my card. Her eyes flicked to mine, a fraction of confusion, maybe suspicion. But I didn't falter. I could see it in her expression, the first crack in the perfect mask she had been wearing all evening. When the check was settled, she tried to coax me into a walk through the nearby park, to make up for lost time. I shook my head. "I think I need to head home," I said quietly. She tried again, a soft laugh, a light touch on my arm. I pulled gently away. "No," I said. "I think tonight speaks for itself." The ride home was silent, and the quiet felt heavier than the city traffic outside. I didn't check my phone. I didn't ask questions. I simply drove, each stoplight giving me more space, more clarity, more distance from the version of her I thought I knew and the version I had just witnessed. When I stepped inside my apartment, I didn't speak. I hung up my coat, placed my keys on the counter, and let myself feel the tension that had been building for months, maybe years. It wasn't anger, not yet. It was recognition. Recognition that I had been ignored, undervalued, and put aside, quietly, almost ritualistically, for someone else's approval. I poured a glass of water, then sat down at the edge of the sofa. My mind replayed the evening, each laugh, each glance, each gesture. And then the thought hit me, solid and unyielding. I don't need this performance. I don't need this show. And I certainly don't need to be part of it. I called my best friend, knowing he'd listen without judgment. "It's over," I said before he could even ask. "What do you mean?" he asked. "I mean tonight was the final straw. I don't need someone who performs for someone else while I'm in the room. I'm done." He didn't argue. He didn't question. He simply said, "Good. About time." And in that moment, I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I hadn't shouted. I hadn't stormed. I hadn't created a scene. I had simply observed, recognized, and made a choice. A quiet choice. Later, as I prepared for bed, I realized that the power wasn't in confronting her, wasn't in demanding an explanation, wasn't in forcing apologies. The power was in leaving quietly, preserving my dignity, and allowing reality to speak for itself. She could continue performing for whomever she pleased, but I wouldn't be part of it. I checked my phone one last time. Messages from her boss, her friends, even her own family tried to reach her. None were for me, and I smiled, quietly, knowing that for the first time in a long time, my attention was on myself. My choices, my life, my time. Sleep came easier than I expected. Not the restless, anxious kind that comes with betrayal, but the calm, steady kind that comes from finally reclaiming your sense of self. And in the darkness, one thought repeated, steady as a drum. The night was over, and I had won, not by shouting, not by forcing confrontation, but by quietly stepping away from what no longer deserved my energy.